Well, you teach Sunday school class? Do you teach community group?
Yes, she teaches in our preschool class.
My photographers love you because I get pictures of her all the time because you're always smiley, like you're just very engaged with the kids. And so I get a lot of pictures of you, believe it or not. We don't post them all over the world, but when I'm going through, I'm like, there's that lady again. And now I know who that lady is.
Oh, now you're getting to be posed.
Yeah, it's so weird because like I don't take the pictures, so I get a glimpse of all of our churches, but very rarely am I the one right there seeing these things happen. So I don't know these people, but there's recurring people I see over and over, and different photographers will actually like be drawn to the same people because of their energy. And so you've got this like positive, happy energy with the kids. So like I said, regardless of who the photographer is, I always get a picture of you because you're really engaged with the kids. So
meanwhile, Justin told me yesterday that he got a picture of me. It was Senior Sunday.
Yes.
You were there for that, Palm. Mm-hmm. And he said, you're at the front, Jennifer, and your face looks wrecked.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness, one of our lights are out. Is it gonna fall? Oh, it's back. Okay. So Justin took a picture of me. Well, on the front row, I'm realizing that Olivia will be on that stage in a year because she's a junior. In fact, she'll be a senior beginning next week. So I started to get emotional just thinking about it. And Justin's like, I had this great picture, but your face looks crazy with sadness. I'm on the front row just like, and then he said Olivia wasn't much better. She was actually sad because she's going to miss these senior girls, but I was actually sad because I'm moving into this space. And I'll miss the senior girls, some sweet, sweet people, sweet, sweet kids in that senior class. But yeah, so Justin said, he goes, again, I have a picture of you that I cannot put out. It's another picture of you that I will not put out and publicize. So you're welcome. Well, I just want to say that I'm really excited today because I've invited one of my favorite.
Why are you starting without me? I'm not even sitting down.
Jennifer's ready.
Are you practicing? What are you doing?
I thought you would just sneak into
the lights are going crazy. That doesn't mean I'm not in the show. It means I fix the light and I come back. So the lights are fixed. And now we can start.
How about this? We'll start with you.
Do you want to start?
I do, and I'm so excited.
Don't start with I do. I'm so excited because I need a clean cut.
Okay, here we go.
Hello, and welcome to the Almost Amazing podcast from the City Rise Network. Hosted by Jennifer Dennis and produced by me, Justin Kello, we're a podcast that was supposed to be focused on parenting, but we kind of lost the plot along the way. Honestly, we don't know what this podcast is about, but we talk to incredible people who love Jesus, and our hope is to provide encouragement and fun whenever possible. If our lack of clear direction bothers you, we apologize, but no one is making you listen to this podcast, unless you're married to Jennifer. Andy, thanks for listening.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Almost Amazing podcast. Thank you for being with us today. We're happy to have you. It's going to be an amazing show. So thank you for being here. Justin,
hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I will say I've had a struggle the past week or so. I have been on a journey with something going on in my mouth, and it is concerning.
Is it things you say, or is this?
No.
Because I feel like that's been a long time coming.
No, that's not a problem. Everyone loves that about me. No one has any issues with the things I say. They're always so happy with that, with how blunt I am. But the other day I noticed that carbonated beverages started burning my mouth, like hurting me. And I was like, what is happening? And then I started noticing that like spicy food, not just like it's hot, but like, you know, when you like burn your tongue on something hot and you have that like tingling.
Yes.
I was having that with things that shouldn't be doing it. Like my mouth was just feeling raw. And I was like, what is happening? And so, which is concerning because I love soda. And also I love like sparkling water, and like all these things that I love were hurting me. And so
have you figured it out?
Well, I don't know. So I started Googling, and there's this thing called burning mouth syndrome. And I'm like, okay, what is that? And apparently it's most common in women going through menopause. And
I've had this.
You've had it?
Yes. I'm a woman going through menopause. Yes, I've had this.
What?
Uh-huh.
Tell me about it. What was your experience?
But you're not going through menopause.
No, not yet. I hope not.
I remember eating something spicy and it was like physically painful.
Yes.
And I'm like, this shouldn't feel like a physical attack in my mouth.
Yes.
I mean, I get heat, like, oh, that's so flavorful, but
yeah.
I shouldn't be like in tears needing medical attention.
Yes.
And so also I noticed it with some soda, it kind of burned a little bit. But
Did it go? It just went away?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I haven't started menopause yet, but so I was like, what is this? And so I'm reading all these things that can cause it, and none of it applied to me. And then there was like one little blurb that was like, oral products and I was like, oh, and we had just gotten a new toothpaste.
Oh.
And I remember using toothpaste being like, oh, this is a spicy toothpaste, but I think I may actively be allergic to this toothpaste because I was using it for days and it kept getting worse. And then 2 days ago, I was like, maybe it's toothpaste. So I've stopped using that toothpaste for a couple days. And in my heart and in my head, I hope I'm getting better. Like I feel like I might be getting better. So I think it might be it. But it has been a really, really miserable week of like being very frustrated. Like we were at Torchy's the other day and I could not like drink my diet soda, like the food. I was like, this is awful. Like,
so I don't think I've had it maybe to that degree.
Yeah.
But what I realized is I was like salsa would be way too hot and hurt. Then I realized that I was eating Sour Punch straws every day and they're like this sugar laced.
Yes.
And I was like rubbing and it's like a big rope of just sugar that you're just like, anyway, I'm not eating it violently, but it was making my whole mouth raw. And then I would go to eat something with flavor and it was just like,
well, I'm hoping it's a toothpaste. Like even at lunch, I had some Pringles and my mouth is kind of tingling.
Even today?
Yes.
So you stopped the toothpaste though, right?
Yes. And like I said, I feel like I might be getting better, but I drank a Sprite yesterday and only cried once instead of like through the duration of it. But
Justin, I'm so sorry.
So I feel like it's getting better, but if it's not better in a week, I don't know what to do because everything online's like, you must be an old woman. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, that's not what it is.
I'm like, I totally am.
Like, what about young dudes?
This explains why maybe I'm going through it. But anyway, what
about you?
We're doing pretty well. I'm realizing within the last couple of weeks that my husband, Andy, is turning into my father.
Okay.
And that's been a really interesting. Andy is now like, he built shelves to go in our garage.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And out of repurposed wood that he found.
There you go.
Like on a stack somewhere, which I'm pretty sure we didn't steal. But like, that's so crazy. And he's never done that before. And then now he's like planting things.
Oh.
And so he has all of these plants and he's got a tomato plant and a lemon or lime plant. And now he's learning Spanish. So now, is he going through midlife? Is he in a midlife
Seems
crisis?
like a really positive midlife crisis if that's what it is.
A really wildly productive.
Yes.
And he's also like, okay, so he's planting things, he's building things, he's learning things. And he's like, now he's like cooking he cooks at night.
Wow.
He has these recipes planned.
Wow.
I don't know what's happening. I'm really thankful and I think it's wonderful.
Yeah.
But he wants to go on walks after we eat. Like Andy's entering into a new stage.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this.
I'm not with him.
You don't want to go with him on this.
I'm not with him. He's like, Flynn and I are taking a big, long walk after dinner tonight. You said you wanted to do that. Did you want to join us? And I'm just like, how do I get out of this?
Really?
But I did actually go one night. And it was so fun. It was wonderful. I go, why aren't I doing this all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was just like, I'm done with that.
Is he going to be gone a lot this summer?
No, I'm going to be gone more than he is.
Oh,
so,
okay.
But I just think, so this is my dad. My dad totally grows a garden. He makes he has his own wood shopping. Okay. The other thing he did is he started to like randomly invest extra money into like this account that he gets to move around and do things with.
That's real grown up.
My dad totally does this every day.
Yeah,
he gets on and day trades, takes some money, moves it around. And I want to say he sells out every day.
Oh.
It's like his hobby.
Wow.
Well, I think he has actual like money in, but he's like, let's see what's going on in the stock market today. So while he's planting and keeping up with his buildings and doing all this, he also comes out and gives us the report.
I think maybe Andy is more wise than you. Surprise.
Like I didn't even lead with that.
Here's what I think he's doing.
You think Andy's more wise than me? That's like a really giant thing to say in the middle of a show.
I think in this situation, he is watching Olivia prepare to leave. And you are in your feelings about it, and he's in his productivity about it. He's like, hey, listen, I'm about to have an empty home. I'm about to have a piece of my home leaving me. I think he might be filling that up with other things in preparation for this last year of school.
Whereas me, I've just moved into Olivia's bedroom.
Yes. Yeah, like I said, I don't mean wise in general.
I'm trying to talk to her every
wise
day.
in dealing with the fact that your one and only baby girl is about to leave the house, where he's
Right.
going to spend this year filling it with other things so that he only weeps a little bit. You are investing more in just being around her to make it even worse on
I
yourself.
will be a mortal disaster. A mortal disaster. So that's what we're up to. I think it's kind of an interesting phase as we move into Father's Day. So keep that on the radar.
Father's Day is coming.
We were laughing last night. I was eating out with some friends and we have a taco night.
Yes,
and
you do have a taco
we were
night.
talking about how on Mother's Day, preachers kind of talk about the greatness of moms and how amazing they are and how dads should be stepping up.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Father's Day, we talk about how dads should be stepping up. I just feel like dads always get growing up. Don't you remember? Like dad, they're just always getting I'm not saying our pastors here lately, but growing up, I just remember pastors are always like, and if your golf game's more important than your child, or if you're not coming home every night and doing something romantic for your wife.
Well, our church is funny because like Father's Day is always the week after VBS. So Father's Day is always like VBS Sunday. Like dads don't even get a mention. I mean, they get a mention. It's like, and happy Father's Day. But here's all the kids singing their songs. Like,
but never on Mother's Day are you getting you better be better at this.
You would
like,
never.
You need to get it together, moms.
And honestly,
be
for
better.
good reason, because moms do have it together.
But dads are always getting it on their day, on their moms, on Mother's Day. It was just funny to me.
I don't think we get presents either like y'all do it. At church, we always have a present for moms.
You guys get always some like grilled
I mean like from the church. I think last year, Crosspoint did make bacon and everybody got a piece of bacon.
Everybody got a piece of bacon.
And honestly, I'd rather have that than a little bookmark. You know, mom's like the cute little bookmark. I'm like, I'd rather have
big
a piece
stick
of
bacon walking around with it. Anyway, so keep in mind, Father's Day is around the corner.
Yes.
And that doesn't matter because your dad doesn't even think about it being Father's Day. So
yeah, it's true. I mean, we're used to it. And it's fine. Like, to me as a dad, I'm fine with it not being a big deal. Like if I get to pick the restaurant that day, then I'm happy.
Right. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of big days and big things coming up, I'm really excited about our guest today. It's one of my favorite people. And she has worked with us in kids stuff. She's an incredible prayer warrior. And as I was listening to her pray last week, I just felt like I could sense God's presence with us. And I thought, we need to have her on the podcast. So welcome, Palm Feist.
Hooray!
Hi, everyone.
Welcome,
Thank you.
Palm.
It's an
Thank
honor
you for
to be
coming.
Here.
So you are helping us lead in VBS. You are in charge of prayer. And it's not the first time you've done that.
Yes, ma'am. We did it when we did In the Wild 2 years ago.
I loved that theme.
In the Wild, yeah.
In the Wild. It was such a great theme. And that was I think that was 2019.
I think it was pre-pandemic. Yeah.
It was the last one before
it's been a
everything
while.
went crazy.
Yeah.
So I was so moved at the way Palm got children involved in prayer. That year she had kids writing prayers. There were prayers everywhere from that year. And what I thought was really unique was when you were helping lead us through prayer in preparing for VBS, you focused on the names of God. And I thought that was so powerful. Will you tell me a little bit about how you did that?
Yeah. So it was in 2015, actually, when we were in Malaysia. We got together for a mother in prayer, the mother with young children. They met at our home with lots of young babies crawling, but we have one purpose. We want to pray. We want to pray for our home. We want to pray for our children. We want to pray for our husband and the city and the church. So at that time, we started this pray through Bible verses, and we called it Bible verses, and we just claiming the promises of God. Then I started thinking, how about the names of God? Then I started to do a little more research, and I got a pamphlet that said the name of God with the list of his names and the associated Bible verses and the story, how God revealed himself to imperfect human in that condition through failures, through weaknesses, but how God demonstrated different facets of who he was and who he is. And I thought if we could come and meet him in his names, and being deep, knowing who he is, whether it's Jehovah Jireh, the Lord will provide, Adonai, the great God, Jehovah Nissi, the Lord is our banner. Being able to see how he fought for his people, how he met his people in weaknesses, then I think it's just more powerful, and I think it helps people to see who God is in a more tangible way.
Well, I will say that even after a VBS, I was pull out the list of God's names and pray over them and remind myself of who God is in my life, who he is, that we get to worship him and have a relationship with him. So we began again this year. So she's leading prayer again this year, and she's actually going to allow our children to think about and learn about the names of God. And the first one you started with was Shalom. And I always thought that was just a greeting. I was like, Shalom, Shalom, but it means the peace of God. And it was really, so you started that with us. And what hit me was God's peace. Like, that is a powerful peace that we don't just practice, that we don't develop it within ourselves. Like, you just got to figure out a way to be peaceful. But it is a godly peace that he puts upon you. And so now I understand God's peace and shalom. I thought that was so, but I don't think we call God shalom. It's not actually one of the names of God, is it?
What is it? Is it on that list? I'm looking
it is one of his names.
Yes,
What's his first name in that one? What is it?
Oh, I think if you go back to Genesis, it would be Elohim, right? The
Elohim.
Lord.
God
is the creator. So that's actually going to be the first name on the first day of VBS.
Elohim.
Elohim, the creator.
So the kids
God.
will learn this.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited because they're going to learn how to put it into practice, to talk about it every day, and discover more about the person of God.
Yeah.
I just think I love that. So over the years, what are some names, Palm, that stick out to you that have been meaningful for you in your journey?
So different seasons in life, you know, how God demonstrated himself in a very tangible and a real way. I probably this past 2 or 3 months, Jehovah Rapha, the Lord is my healer. I went through some sickness in the end of last year, beginning of this year, and how God spoke his peace and healing, not just a physical healing, but a spiritual healing to my heart, revealing to me what's the sickness in my heart that God needs to do a transaction to heal it. And through encountering physical sickness, he met me in that deep, lonely, sad part why this happened to me. But Jehovah Rapha, the Lord my healer, like he affirms to me that this is his doing. And it's doing, grasping me. The light momentary affliction is preparing for us the eternal weight of glory that weight beyond our comprehension.
Wow. That's so powerful. And to know God in that way, to know the names, it helps to keep us from defining who God is on our own. And I think sometimes we fall into that trap of defining that God's a gotcha God or an angry God or an irritated God, but it keeps us focused on who God tells us that he is biblically. Now, you guys do kind of come in and out of the country. Like, you guys have done international projects and missions. Can you tell us a little bit about what you guys have been involved in?
So we have been involved with the organization called Spoken Worldwide, and we helping people who are oral learners, not just people who cannot read, but people who learn orally to be able to study the words of God through a storytelling, but it's straight from the Bible. So I'm not sure if you probably would know that 2/3 of the population, the world population, are oral learners. So we, like from my part, I work in the East Asia Pacific. We train people in Laos and in Thailand, in Nepal, in Indonesia, in China. I think God opened the door for us how to study the words orally. And there are people who, like older people who lost their eyesight, and how can we still encourage them to study the words of God? And
I had no idea that it's 2/3. That's
Well, if you think about it,
significant.
like one, before writing was really easily accessible, everybody learned that way. Like there wasn't the printing press, there wasn't this way to mass produce writing, such that everybody did. But even our children are that way. They learn from songs and they learn from TV and they learn from videos. Like that's why VeggieTales exists, because it's able to teach Christian principles that maybe they can't read yet or don't, you know what I'm saying? So if you think about it in those contexts, it makes a lot of sense that so many people learn better by listening than by reading, because reading is something you have to learn later and you may not have access to as much as other countries do, depending on how well off your country is.
So I thought the other day, Palm led us through a Bible story of it's the disciples, it's the
Calm the storm.
the calming of the
Jesus
storm.
calms
So Palm read the story and then had our prayer group tell each part of the story. And I couldn't believe how we kept getting it wrong. Like we kept forgetting details. We would like skip over things. And I thought, wow, like to be in this, this activity, we're really having to think what actually happened next in that story. What was the next reaction or the next emotion? But I thought it helped us to remember it so much better and to think about the little pieces of it. Is that part of what you all do?
Yes. And I do that with pre-K every week.
Oh, I
would tell them
it.
orally, but I would have them retell me back. And then I tell them with obvious mistakes, intentional mistakes, and they love that. But the mistakes were placed in the key information that we want them to remember. Then we'll talk about it. We'll talk, what do you like about it? What do you not like about it? Who do you want to be in the story and why? Or who you do not want to be in the story and why? And how would you want to do, apply what we learned this week? So it's a casual conversation, but it's straight from the Bible. And it's great evangelism too as well, that can I tell you the story? And it's straight from the Bible because we want to honor the words of God.
So now you guys have 4 children who are also some of my favorite people. We have Paul, and Paul is going into the 6th grade. And he oftentimes helps lead in Kid Rally. Let me tell you about Paul. He likes to keep me organized. He comes up to me on Wednesday nights and he's like, Miss Jennifer, what are we doing Sunday? And I'm like, oh, it's this theme. What are you going to do to celebrate that? He's like, what fun thing will we be doing? I'm like, I don't know, Paul. What do you think? He's like, I think we probably need to do popsicles. I'm like, every week, Paul, your idea is popsicles. And then we have Phoebe, who we've had. I feel like I've been with Phoebe the longest because Paul was a little bit older and Phoebe was in kinder, and I taught that class. And I got to be with Phoebe when I taught kinder one year. And then we have Susanna, and then we have Timothy.
Wow.
Paul's best buddy,
Oh.
Timothy and Paul. And so they're just wonderful children. I love how you guys are leading them. They are so, they have such a servant's heart, and they're so kind, and they're kind to people coming in and new people. And it's just such a blessing to have children who are just so filled with love.
Thank you. Can I tell you a little bit more about the names of God?
Sure.
How we're going to do it? Okay.
Yes.
So in Exodus 3, how the Lord grabbed Moses' attention by that burning bush, right? And then he said, take off the sandal. This is a holy ground. And then he said, I have seen my people affliction. I have heard their cry and have come down to deliver them. And then Moses asked, if I've come to the people of Israel and said, the God of your fathers have sent me to you. And if they ask, what is his name? What do I say to them? Then the Lord said, tell them I have sent me to you. So the names have a big significance of knowing who that person is. But also, we wanted to be able to tell the children how that person display this character with that name. For example, if I say, I know this Jennifer, like, Jennifer. But if I tell story, Jennifer, she loves kids. She play kickball with the kids that she hurt her knees one day and she had to be on crutches, but she still smile and still continue to play. So you could see like, that's Jennifer loved the kids. She wanted to play with them, not just teach, but you want to be with them, to play with them, to have fun. So that helps with the story, right? So in the VBS, we have prayed and chosen 5 names We will start on day one with Elohim, the creator God. So we wanted to tell the kids the story of the creation, how powerful God is, how creative God is, but yet how he takes delight in his creation and how uniquely God have made them. And on day two, we'll talk about Yahweh, I am. He is who he said he is. He's self-sufficient one. He existed and he's faithful. Even when we're faithless, he's still faithful. Then on day three, we'll talk about the name Emmanuel. God is with us. Then we'll tell the story of Jesus' birth, of how God became flesh and dwelt among us, and how he was willing to leave his throne in heaven and came to be with us. Then on day four, we'll talk about Jesus, the Savior, Jesus' crucifixion, how he took our place. He took our sin away, and he was willing to just endure that pain, the shame on the cross for us. And he wants them to know this. And on the last day, before they leave, we want to tell them that the Lord is Abba, Father. He is loving Father, the story from the prodigal son. He's so patient, waiting for his people to come back, never condemn, forgive, and embrace. Just welcome us home. And we want them to be able to tell that story to their families, with the names of God, with the stories that they can understand who God is through the name of God, and can use that to come and talk to God, pray, and give thanks to God.
Wow, I think that's going to be such a powerful teaching for our children to hold on to and to share with their families. I'm so excited, Palm. Thank you so much for being with us today and taking some time to visit with us. We'll be praying for you guys as you continue to share the gospel throughout the world to children and families. I'm just so excited to see what all will happen. And well, thank you so much. We do usually have one last thing at the end of the day.
It's called the final question.
Okay.
It's been called the final question for years now, and she always forgets what it's called. But it's just a final question that's kind of fun that we all answer that doesn't have anything to do with anything we talked about. Okay,
so today the final question is, what if you had an evening with complete childcare of, let's say an evening of a block of about 4 hours, how would you spend it? What would you want to do?
And we can answer this first while you ponder this. So you are already in this world. Like your daughter takes care of herself. I'm in this world all the time. So maybe take yourself back to like when you had to take care of Olivia, I guess. Like, what would you do with those 4 hours?
I think I would have liked to gone out to dinner with my husband.
Yeah.
Or go catch a movie. Or just do something that children don't necessarily allow you to do.
Yeah.
I think I stopped working out. I mean, I used to work out a lot and I used to like to be really active. I don't know that that's the thing I would choose for my one free time. Probably have dinner with some great friends that I never caught up with.
Yeah. I can tell this from experience because do you use KP&O, Kids Parent Night Out?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a real scenario for our church because once a month in the school year, y'all host KP&O, Kids Parent Night Out, which is a 3-hour block of just free childcare. It's an incredible ministry. Like, please don't ever take it away.
Just as like,
we love it.
My kids keep it above that.
Yeah, we love it. Our kids love it too. They call it night church. They love it. And so for me, I already know the answer to this question because I've experimented. There's been times where in that 3 or 4 hour block that I try and go out and grab dinner and do something, and that always feels really rushed to me. Like I don't really get to fully like enjoy it because I'm like, okay, we got to get back to pick up the kids. But we have found that just dropping our kids off and then coming back to our house and doing takeout or watching a movie, streaming, that has been the best use of that 3 or 4 hour block.
Really?
And so it's not exciting, but there's no anxiety about it. Whereas if you only have a 4 hour block without kids, whether it's a babysitter or whatever, you're always like, okay, we got to get back home, whatever. We're just at our house. Our house is close to the church, so it's not that big of a commute to get the kids. But we just go back home, order takeout, maybe watch a movie, hang out, and just be in our house without kids, which is a weird luxury when you're a parent of young kids, is being in the home that you love and you've made it your home and it being quiet and not chaotic. So, we found that we really enjoyed just being home for those 4 hours.
Cool. Palm, how about you?
That's a good question. I look back and I think one of the best dates that Scott, my husband, and I had was, and I wanted to do that during the 4 hours, he packed us a journal, 2 journals grape juice, communion, and bread. And we went to Rice. That's where we spent a lot of time together, walking around the loop. And that we would have time to walk together. And I wanted to do that in the 4 hours, walk together and remember God's faithfulness. Just visit the place that we used to spend time before the kids come, but remember back, who He was. And then I remember that we would kind of sit separately and with our journal. I think we took communion together first and we sat separately and just journal with the Bible and quiet. And just have that time and probably come back again and take a walk, go get a good dinner. After that, we write Raven's Grill. It's near Rice, but just a unique local place and just have a quiet, fun dinner together.
That would have been my second thing.
Do you share the journal entry after? Do you talk about what you wrote down?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
so
cool.
we talk about
That's
that.
a really sweet.
But it's just that, how when God made woman, like the woman know God first, and she was complete before God brought her to the man.
Okay.
And same thing as the man. So I felt like that individual time with the Lord, individual and then come together.
Yeah.
Just it's special.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, that's something you can do.
That
I was about to say,
now.
you can do it at any stage in life. Like, you don't have to, with Olivia in your senior year, that's an incredible exercise for you and
would be
and
really
Andy to sit down and be like, hey, over the past 17 years, what have we seen? And what are we praying for as Olivia moves on in this next step? Like I mean, any season of life, I think that would be valuable to do with your partner. That's huge.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Thank you,
love
Paul.
that.
That's wonderful.
That's great.
Aww.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Everybody, if you enjoyed this show, please share the link with somebody that you think would be encouraged by the conversation about the names of God, which is an incredible thing to reflect on. VBS, I am officially making the decision for us. We're posting this the week before VBS. So VBS registration is still available.
Still open.
If you go to cityrise.org/kidstuff or cityrise.org/summer, you can register your children for VBS, which is happening next week as of the release of this podcast, the first week of June.
Excellent.
So we'd love for you to check that out. You can always email us at podcast@cityrise.org if you have people we can talk to. And please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe if you're listening. And if you watched on YouTube, please make sure to like and comment. It helps us in the algorithm.
So if you don't get a chance to register before VBS and you're like, oh man, we want to go, but we didn't get registered, and the registration will close tomorrow, like Thursday, before VBS. Okay. However, you can walk up and register for VBS the morning before.
Yes.
So please come. You can drop off as early as 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
There'll be a place to where you can sign up, get the kids' t-shirts. We have extended care available. So if you want them to be there from 9 to 4, that's also an
and every
option.
day you can walk up. So let's say you're out of town the first day.
You can walk up every day.
And you can bring extra friends every day. VBS grows throughout the week. Like it
does.
starts to swell.
Right. The first day we have a lot of extra, and then yes, it grows. So we're really excited. But
That's
thank
so
you,
much
Palm.
fun.
Thank you, Justin. And thank you guys for being with us today. We hope you've had an almost amazing time on the Almost Amazing Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Almost Amazing Podcast from the City Rise Network, based in Houston, Texas. City Rise is a partnership of church campuses, nonprofits, and missionaries devoted to lifting our city and the world by generously giving the gospel of Jesus Christ. For more information or to find a church campus close to you in the Houston area, visit cityrise.org.